me, what I continually challenge myself is to experiment often, fail fast, and learn from those experiences. Goal setting, business, personal. The difference today is the experimentation is much more focused on areas that I really enjoy.
What do you think is at the core of your professional acumen?
The way that I try and think about it is a relationship builder.
Hello, everybody. This is Sergey with the Be Yourself podcast, the podcast on expressing our true selves. Today, we have Bill Fanning, who's the CEO of Talk Talent, one of the biggest TA communities in America. Bill, hello. How are you?
I am good. I'm glad I'm here.
Man, how many people right now are on Talk, the TA community?
We have today a little over 14,000 members across North America.
This is big time. And is it safe to say that it's the biggest community of TA professionals?
I believe so. Look at the market. There's other TA communities, and which, by the way, I love. I think the more focus on it, the better it is for the industry. But yeah, I think as terms of members, we have a pretty large following, if not the largest.
Cool. And how long have you been the CEO here?
So I stepped into Talk earlier this year. Oh. So it's been about just coming up on 1 year.
Okay, cool. How are you liking it so far?
Well, I absolutely love it. It's just such a fun experience to be able to focus on the function of talent acquisition and being able to focus on the best practices, the technology that supports it, the processes that people are devising to make sure we're doing things properly and advancing it. So I really love it. TA to me was, coming out of the military, one of the things I walked away with was that, we all have very specific jobs, skill sets, backgrounds, and trainings, which is great, but it's putting the right team together that makes things work. And that teaming focus, when you have an effective team and the right people, right soft skills, right hard skills, it's damn near unstoppable sometimes. And so it made me very fascinated with the concept and the process of putting those teams together, both in the professional world, teams for sports, teams for military. So I love the focus of it. It's something I've always been passionate about. And so I'm really, I feel like it's almost like a present that I get to sit there and watch and talk about something like this all the time.
Yeah, so you were saying it's almost like a present, and you are at the great spot now. Is that safe to say that you're loving what you're doing? Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think it's super fun.
Yeah. Bill, so you just mentioned about military, and I can read on your LinkedIn profile, it says proud military veteran. Let's talk a little bit about the preceding experience. If you can tell me what led up to becoming a CEO of Talk and what experiences you take pride in as far as your career development and understanding people and business professionals. How did it all start for you, and how did you wind up being CEO of Talk?
That's a great question. So recently I was fortunate enough to be CEO of another company that was focused on what's called candidate experience, which is the experience you have as you're going through the application stages and applying and interviewing for a job. The product was awesome. The person I work with was phenomenal, but the timing in the market wasn't very well positioned. And because it was during the COVID and the layoffs, post-COVID, the layoffs, stuff like that. So, but what I learned in that process, it was really fascinating to me, was how much sales methodologies had changed, right? So I grew up as a salesperson, go to market, and went through a lot of different trainings. And what I had realized is that things had changed. The execution by a ton of vendors across a ton of industries kind of blew up a lot of what traditionally work, email, phone calls, in-mails, all of those things, while effective, I guess they're just having diminishing returns, so the effort you put out over time is continually returning less and less leads or contacts or whatever you're focused on. And the focus is really on authentic content, going out to people to show them what you do and how you do it. And what I learned I'm a fan of LinkedIn, so it's not negative, but it's hard to do that. LinkedIn is a common vehicle. So you see people doing podcasts, webinars, all this white papers, all this great stuff.
In attempt of doing exactly what you just said, just to show your true self.
To educate, to be, I think, like in my mind, I call it like an authentic sales process. Like I'm authentically showing you who we are and what we do. And getting that into the hands of the right people, your ideal customer profile, your ICP, is challenging. And so I said, wow, if I had this group of talent acquisition communities that, on one side, I've got this group of people that are being flooded with new technologies, new concepts, new processes, a changing landscape, right? So we have Gen Z and millennials making the majority of the workforce. Or I think that just recently happened where millennials or baby boomers statistically drop down. But we can bring content and process to these people. We can educate around what's going on with the vendors in the marketplace. And the vendors can connect with their ICP simply without having to go through this massive output of spend and marketing budget on platforms like LinkedIn, where you're never 100% sure who you're reaching. With Talk, you're reaching talent acquisition professionals. Talent acquisition professionals are learning about the technologies that are out there, but more importantly, they're talking about the use cases of them and are they effective, specifically what they do. And once you understand specifically what they do, would they generate an ROI for me? And, would they work in my technical environment? Would I be able to connect them to my ATS system, for example? And so it's really, it just seemed like a much more logical way for talent acquisition vendors, practitioners to each in their respective area learn and grow and celebrate best practices, understand what's not working anymore, improve their individual skill sets. I'm a TA professional. I can learn about AI. I can learn about different assessment technologies that are coming onto the marketplace. I can discuss that with my peers and get better. And I love that. Like I belong to communities myself for sales or marketing or things of that nature.
So
and
communities is your thing. It's not like you just discovered the power of it. You've always been a member or at some sort you have a connection, right? To community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Quick one, guys. If you can help me to grow this channel by hitting the subscribe button, I would be really, 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 really thankful. I want to grow this channel to become international podcast where I invite not only Ukrainian guests, but guests from all around the world so you can benefit. And in this way, we all become better as human beings. Thank you very much for supporting me and enjoy the show further.
And so it just seemed like a very logical community to be part of and to foster the growth and the additional expansion of it. So I love it. It just seemed like a logical next step for me.
I can see the post that you made a year ago. I'm going to read it with your permission, just a short snippet of it. In the course of the last year, I've been bestowed with the incredible opportunity to collaborate with exceptional individuals in crafting a needed candidate engagement platform. This voyage has been nothing short of exhilarating. Yet I have to acknowledge that the market's evolving nature has posed formidable challenges, impeding the realization of the growth aspirations. And then you talk about the fact that right now you are open to new opportunities, and this post is dedicated to you link to the Forbes article that says the power of navigating difficult times with curiosity. And you said that in a way, this article, it testifies or illustrates how you view the world, so maybe you can take us back to this place when you were looking for the next company for the next. So, and how did you approach it, and the power of curiosity, and how did it actually lead you to the position with Talk? Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So like when that realization came about that, and, you know, and it's like one of those things in life where I guess things are just going to happen, right? And sometimes they're out of our control, or we don't have the capability to influence them at the level we need, right? And that was a great situation where the market was, it just kind of was what it was. And so what I started to think about is, okay, I became curious about what would really just engage 100% of me. What would make me excited? And when I realized from that experience and previous experiences how much um, the scope and the capabilities of talent acquisition were growing. The technologies like the one I was bringing to market are expanding, and how much TA professionals are continually looking at doing things better and faster. And, for example, right now, a lot of TA teams have reduced budgets, reduced team sizes, but the number of jobs that they need to fill is starting to accelerate. So how do you do that? That's a fascinating question to me. Like, what? How do you optimize? How do you optimize your operations to meet that need if you have reduced resources? That's a great question. And so I started to think to myself, well, how could I foster a way to help TA professionals be better, help them learn about the market, and create an opportunity for TA vendors to effectively speak to the members and the members to learn about the vendors. And so I started thinking and looking, and I just kind of fortuitously was connected with Talk, which fascinated me. And it was part of another company. And its mission at that point was just to focus on a network and connective capability of a large group of TA professionals, right? The vendor side wasn't really part of it. But what I saw is that there was an amazing way to grow the capabilities to serve the members, the TA professionals. If vendors came in, there was a revenue model. It generated some profit. The profit reinvested back into the community in terms of classes, learning capabilities, networking opportunities, and it kind of self-sustained. It grew based on its the two sides of the ecosystem collaborating, and it just fascinated me. Like you can't see it, but I have a big whiteboard on my wall, and I used to sit there and like doodle out.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, this. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. So it was funny. I was sitting on the couch one night watching a TV show with my wife, and we have an L-shaped couch. And so I was sitting there, and I was just. She was like, "What do you?" Because I was scribbling, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I can't stop thinking about this. And finally, she just like kicked me from the other end of the couch, and she's like, "Would you just go do it?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I will." And she's like, "Good, because you're talking, and I want to watch the show." And it was kind of funny, but that was the moment I went from I'm thinking about it to I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah, this is the great indicator that you're 100% involved, and it's something that will keep driving you when you're like, even at your leisure time, you're thinking about it, right? So is it safe to say that before you joining Talk or taking pretty much control of Talk, it was sort of like just a networking event or like group, nothing beyond that? And you added vendors into the equation, and now vendors can present their solutions to a wide audience of the target audience of TA professionals, while TA professionals benefit in a way they learn about new stuff, they learn about new solutions, and it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing that I've tried not to do is get into demonstrating product. I mean, that's a great thing to do, but you can go watch a video on LinkedIn or somewhere else on their website and see it. But I try and ask the vendors to step back for a second and talk about their why.
Interesting.
Well, because it is to me, like, it's great that you have this company, but why did you start it? What is it? What is the problem that it solves? Why are you doing this? Similar to the questions you're asking me, I want the vendors to come in and talk about, hey, so I've talked to vendors like, I'm a TA professional. I've got 25 years experience. I recognize this challenge, and I, similar to me, the way my brain worked with talk, I wanted to solve it. So I went and start whatever the company is and talk us through that process, and then share with us where it's working. Give us the reasons why you're still excited. Give me the case studies, the ROIs. Where is it really delivered meaningful results? And through that discussion process, what's awesome is you're you're talking about something to me in a way that I really love to hear. Is like, hey, I saw this problem. I theorized a solution. I had this hypothesis. I tried it. I got great response. I learned, and then we developed this product, and now we're bringing it to market because I know that if I suffered from this issue or problem, I can't be the only one, and it's something I want to solve. And there's a great number of technology platforms that are out there where that story is just fascinating to me.
Stories is what create connection between people. This is what 100%. I learned from, I think, Disney or Pixar. It's literally they got like an ethical code on their website, and storytelling is crucial. And sometimes we want to only talk about numbers or use buzzwords, but personal stories. And it's so cool that you said that you ask entrepreneurs and like vendors why. Because we can connect on a human level. We don't need to use big words. Explain why you created this. What's your maybe personal challenge, some story behind the rationale for creating this type of solution. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I love it. I'm fascinated by it. Like it's when what I try and do is like if I were walking around and I bumped into somebody and they said I do X, I start thinking, why are you doing that? What do you? And so by bringing that type of discussion to a community, I find that there's a great opportunity for other people to sit back and really learn about the genesis of why this technology exists. Or in some cases, let's say AI, some of the creative ways people are solving problems with it, and why are they doing that? Like you can always go see a demo. Like I'm not discrediting or devaluing that part, but to me, there's a bunch, like if you read an article, people say, hey, 80% of your discovery process is done online because people are searching for that why.
Yeah.
And so I like to talk about that. And if the why resonates with you, if you sit back and go, holy crap, that's me, then you can go see a demo and you can go learn. And that's awesome. And we want that to happen, but want to have that initial higher level or deeper conversation first.
What is the nuclear of what is the core skill that you can make a case for the best skill that you've elaborated over the years? Is that a connector? Is that a salesperson? Is that what do you think is at the core of your professional acumen?
The way that I try and think about it is a relationship builder.
Mm-hmm. Relationship builder. Oh, cool.
Yeah, because it's within talk, we're building this myriad or almost a matrix of relationships, right? We can have peer-to-peer connectivity between TA professionals. We can have mentor-mentee relationships between TA professionals where people can coach and mentor each other. We can have learning capabilities where people can come and express. I hear somebody who's done a phenomenal job solving a problem. They can come share that with the rest of the community. So it's building these relationships where people are learning and getting, worst case scenario, having fun talking about something.
Yeah.
And I love that. And on the other side, it's allowing a vendor to talk about something in a way that builds authentic relationships and as well as learning from those connectivity with the member population. So it's just this, it's a growth engine for individuals in their career. It's a growth engine for individuals in an industry. It's a growth engine for the vendors and what their problems are trying to solve to get real meaningful discussions and feedback. But I kind of envision sometimes for me what success looks like at a member level. Like if a member became part of the talk community and they had an issue at work and they got some interesting ideas on how to solve it. Awesome. If a member became part of a talk community and they wanted to learn a skill set or best practice or discuss how to solve a problem, and they got meaningful connectivity with people who are in that same area, thinking the same way, that's phenomenal. Like that's exactly what, like that's success to me. That's
Can you
exciting.
give some examples of what already happened? Some sparks that were made and maybe some partnerships that were born within talk?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of members on our week. We do a weekly discussion forum. Yeah. Sometimes a vendor is part of it. Sometimes it's just a community speaking to each other. But I love listening to what I love is in the chat on the right hand side, a member speaking about something. And then I start seeing, hey, that's awesome. Reach out, connect with me. Like I can see the networking happen.
So there were, yeah.
And I'm like, that's exactly why we're here. You solve the problem. You have the problem. Talk.
Yes. Talk. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's, I mean, yeah.
I had the privilege to kind of see how the webinars are conducted, and you're always facilitating discussion. And it's been fascinating to see how over time more people starting to, engage. Turn on their cameras and participate in the chat box. So it works. So, it's like a domino effect. Some first dominoes have to fall. And it's really great that you're really creating this zone of comfort where everyone can feel safe. There's no one going to take advantage of their knowledge or whatever. We're all there to, in a way, show our vulnerability. But because someone can help, that's the primary reason. Yeah. Any comment, and we'll transition to more of our personal stories.
No, I think you've definitely, fortunately, seen some of the value of talk, which is when people start having a conversation on a topic. I don't really care what the topic is. I'm more focused on the exchange of ideas and the discussion that's happening. And I actually feel guilty sometimes on the conversations because I have questions. I'm like, somebody says something, I'm like, tell me more about it. And I'm like, wait, but I get excited.
Yeah.
It creates an energy in me when I see that happening that I love. And, so I feel extremely fortunate that I can get up every day and invest my time and energy. That's something that's just absolutely fills me with an amazing sense of positivity. Like I love it.
Bill, the essence of my podcast is understanding how people found their calling. I don't know if I can put it this way. You should be supposedly should be born with a calling, but a lot of people discover what they're passionate about at different age. It happened with me at 30 years old, right? Michael Jordan knew that he would want to play basketball at 12, right? So it all happens at different age for us. And it seems when you're saying that you're getting up every morning and you wanna do the stuff that you're doing, it really testifies to the fact that you are at the right place, right? And it's amazingly inspiring to hear. But was it always like that? Can you tell me? Can you maybe give me some stories where you had to pivot or you had to cut ties with people or organizations? Some not that. It was that's something that was useful, but not necessarily, pretty. Were there ever moments in your life that you had to make a tough decision for the sake of, finding the better path or the path that suited you better?
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe this can extend as an advice to a lot of youngsters, a lot of people who are looking for their path. Because a lot of people are really, really lost in our time. It's funny, we have so many opportunities, but because we have so many opportunities, maybe people are lost, not understanding what to grab.
I think that could be really challenging for people coming into our community, our workforce today, or
Mm-hmm.
who are coming into the age where they're transitioning from their primary focus is learning. I don't think that ever goes away, by the way, but I mean, our society, I think a primary focus of us as people should be always learning. But I think there's a point when you get to, here in the US, you get to 18 or 19.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going out of high school and starting your career, or if you're going through education into college, getting your MBA, there comes a point where that ends and it's time to focus. And I think a lot of people may struggle. Like, what is exciting?
Yeah.
And they, um, like we just did this webinar, we just did a session in New York City, uh, maybe about a month ago. And it was really fascinating to me listening to these three heads of talent acquisition talk about what they had done prior to getting where they were. We had somebody who was a professional dancer who is now the head of the chief people officer. We had somebody who had a multi-decade successful pastry chef background who is now the head of talent operations, right? So I was fascinated by that because it goes back to that continuous learning. But for me, what it's always come down to is, am I adding value? Am I happy? And
Am
am
I
I
happy?
generating?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and am I generating what I need from the position?
What was this? What was the moment for you? Were you ever feeling that was, not what was you wanted from your life, or can you give some example maybe?
Sure, I can give a couple. There came a point in time where I didn't think that a active military service lifestyle was what I wanted to continue starting a family. And that was a point where I started to sit back and say, okay, this is not this is, I felt good that I had served my country,
For
but I
how many
felt
years?
10.
Oh my, really? Wow.
Yeah, but I felt very comfortable that it was time to go transition because I wanted to have new experiences. I wanted to, and that's something for me that I've always been passionate about is I love new experiences.
Yeah.
I love to grow. I love to challenge myself. And it's manifested itself in me is that I like to do new things. I like to continually evolve and focus on new tasks and new projects. And talk is great because I get to cover a dozen or more every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes daunting, but yeah, no, I think that you know, I used to hire a lot of salespeople, and I could tell in talking to people innately that they were in a place where they were going to thrive, or they were in a job that they just went into a job because they thought it was going to be a good fit for them. And it's in it, and they're not digging it. Sales is not for everybody. Every position out there is not for everybody. My wife is in the medical field. I absolutely could not go do that. And she laughs all the time at me because my brain was wired a little bit from the military. It was like, hey, does it hurt? Yes. Is it an injury, or are you just are you hurt? And can you do your job? Because if you can, just shut up and go do it. And she's like, no, people hurt. So it's different. Our mindsets are different. She's awesome at that, and it took her a while to find that.
Mm-hmm.
But now that she's there, she's super happy. So the process that I was fortunate to watch with that is that I watched the growth towards that area where she's super happy. So to get back to your original question, because I know I was a lot off base, there have been situations where I've been in a position where I just really had to step back and question. I love what I do, but I'm ready to do something else.
Right.
Or I'm working for an organization that I signed up because I thought it was going to be A, and it turned out to be B. And so I need to go do something else. And I've been in situations where the culture, the just the day-to-day experience was not what I wanted. It's just not like, and this is true for every organization. It's something that companies talk about right now, their brand, their culture. What are they fostering within their employee community? And sometimes it fits, sometimes it's not. And that's okay. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of situations where I've just sat back and said, I think for me as a person, I need to be doing something else. I need to challenge myself a different way, or I need to be happier. And unfortunately, sometimes hey, I'm killing myself and I'm not getting the return for it. I need to make more money, you know?
Same here. I think we're similar in a way that sometimes we can follow our passion to our detriment, because sometimes it's not financially sound, but you do what you love. But hey, man, I think when you do what you really love, sooner rather than later, financial result will come. So it's just a matter of time. And this interesting thought that I just had while you were telling the story is that definitely recruiters play a huge role in finding a person that would fit the organization. But at the same time, we as individuals, we can't rely heavily only on the HR department. We have to do our own sort of self-discovery. We have to do our own thinking and take steps like you take courageous steps of maybe cutting loose from some organization and understand that you're no longer thriving there. And you just feel that you're drained every single day. I always say that if you feel totally out of energy after a day at work, it's a huge indicator that something is wrong. We can be tired from the physical standpoint, right? But mentally, it's okay when we're doing what we like, at least. Maybe not love, but at least what we like. You know how loving your work is totally different from, you don't say I like my wife, right? If you say I like my job, it's not that when you love your job, it's something totally different.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a great observation, that the difference between like and love. And I think we see statistically, there's articles coming out right now about the number of people who are going to be searching for a new role next year. And it's that self-discovery process, or, they've followed a path and it's not generated what they want. And so they're working for a company, they're in a position, the earning capabilities, their happiness, trying to dial all that in so you get up every day with a level of energy and excitement is hard. And I mean, for me right now, I feel blessed because I get up every morning and I mean, is it perfect? Absolutely not. Could I do better? 1,000%. But the thing I love is that I go to bed every night thinking about what I could do better tomorrow. And I get up every morning excited to go execute on whatever I thought about. For me, one of the things that I know is a sign that I'm on the right path is I dream about work.
Wow. That's big time. Like, you have dreams about work.
I dream about conferences. I dream about ways that we're doing events. I just think about things like, I won't go into the details of what they are, but yeah, I absolutely get up in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, we could, So it's just because I'm always thinking about it. I love it.
I have something that I have written down as part of preparation for this conversation, and I'm just gonna throw it at you, and you say what you think. Before you know what you like in life, or love for this matter, you have to first figure out what you dislike. Accurate?
I think that I think we have to understand where we thrive and where we don't. And there's...
But because the things that we're gonna love, they're like, they're so, the percentage that you're gonna stumble upon it in the early phase is really low. And that's why you have to understand that if you suck at something, if you don't like something, that's totally fine, but you have to have courage to say no and to leave and try something else.
Yeah, there are things that I've definitely gone into professionally and personally that I thought were going to be amazing. And, I learned from that, it's not something I thrive in, or it's not something that I'm physically or gifted in doing. I definitely wake up every morning and know that I'm not the smartest person. I'm not but I'm fortunate for what I have, and I'm going to use those skills to the maximum capability that I can, but I'm going to be open-minded to grow. But if I'm in an environment that somehow is not supporting that type of internal, if the insides don't match the out, then yeah, you're right. There's some cultural environments that you just need to know, I don't like this. And that's exceptionally important, I think, in today's, let's go back to talent acquisition. There's a lot of people that may not know that are applying for a job. We talk about cultural fit a lot. And I think that comes down to there's cultures that you may not like. And here's a simple challenge that I see. Let's talk about where you work. This is fascinating to me. Remote, hybrid, or in the office, right? And I talk to people all the time, and they always have different thoughts around where they're gonna thrive. Like some people love to work in an office. Some people want to be fully remote.
Yeah.
Some people want a little bit of both. So what's positive and what's negative? And that comes into and I know that's a silly example, but it's the only one I could think of where, what I don't like will influence what type of jobs I'm going to go look at. If I want to work from home, if it says hybrid or in office, I'm not going to apply. Vice versa. I want to go to an office every day. I don't want to work from home. Maybe I live in a small apartment. I want to get out, so it's, but yeah, I think that knowing what you don't like is a mission critical task. And it's also a process of discovery, because sometimes you think you're going to like something until you're actually doing it.
Do you think that the growing number of people in this coming year who are about to change their workplace, is this a result of what? What do you think are the primary reasons why so many people are willing to make this change, as opposed to maybe not being willing to make this change earlier?
When I think about it, I break it down into simple things. I think about availability or opportunity and safety. So if people are worried about the economy, if there's not a lot of jobs out there, there's probably going to stay safe in their environment they're in because they have a job. They may not like it, but the safety complex is executing in them. Like, okay, I'm fortunate to have a job. But I think we get to a place where opportunity accelerates. There's more opportunity in the market, and the economy maybe is doing a little bit better. So it creates a sense of safety that I can change job. I'm confident that I can do this. And so I think people are viewing some of those things aligning to move them towards changing jobs. They see more opportunity. They feel a little bit safer pursuing that opportunity. And again, there's probably a number of people that say they want to change jobs next year that never will. But I think for me, that's how I look at it. Opportunity and comfort or safety in making change.
Yeah.
Because change is hard.
And there are so many examples around us. We live in an era we have this unprecedented access to seeing how people live, and the new professions that were not even professions, like a year ago. So it's crazy how the mere observation can kind of expand our outlook and just to make us smarter. Can you? I would like. I think I read on one of your posts attributed to your birthday routine. Like you have a routine on your birthday, and you set goals. I'm gonna set goals for New Year, right? And I think most of people do this on New Year. So, but you do it on your birthday. So can you tell us a little bit about this routine you have? And the last point of your routine that says celebrate. I'm interested, how important is that also?
I think it's really important because I'll start on that last point first. Yeah. I think that we are in a culture where negativity and a sense of needing to be better, do better, is strong. And I think we need to stop and celebrate what we've done. Or even in a point of, like, for example, I went out for a run about 6 weeks ago and blew my knee out, slipped on some ice going down some stairs, couldn't see it. It's been horrible. But in all of that, I'm so thankful for the support I've received from people around me. Like to me, that's something to celebrate. Like I am so grateful and so lucky.
So it borders with gratitude. So your celebrate means be grateful in a way.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Be grateful for what you have, that you have the ability to set goals and go after them. Like to me, that's something that I celebrate. And so, yeah, I like to think about a couple key areas in my life. I like to think about my body, my mind, my family, my profession, and my desire to learn new things. And I like to set goals in those areas and just have a bearing rod of focus. I like to think about it as a compass, right? So get up every morning and like challenge myself. Like I wanted to become better at whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I want to become more fit. I want to go try a new race. I want to go whatever. And I think it's great. And if you want to do it on the yearly standpoint, I like to think about it as I grow older. What am I focused on for this year of my life? So that's how I think about it rather than the new year. I think
Interesting.
It's the same.
So every year you have an emphasis on something, on some area. Mm-hmm. Wow. And what were some of the recent ones for the last 2 years, for example? What you've been focused on the most?
I've really worked on growing with an understanding of being happier.
Being happier. Okay.
Yeah, because I think that is something that's really important to me as I've got to this stage of my life. I want to be grateful and I want to be happy. And so I've really tried to focus on thinking about things positive, like just being more open-minded and being more open to celebrating and recognizing things that are good rather than continually challenging myself on the things that I feel like I could have done better.
Yeah.
And it's
not
very
picking
easy
on yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's because it just seems like there's an awesome opportunity for people to get stuck in that I'm never good enough strays. And I want to celebrate that. Hey, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm really having are there absolutely things that I'm not good at and I want to be better at?
Absolutely.
Definitely. But one of the things I really wanted to focus on, and I'm trying to impart on my family and most importantly, my kids, is, you know what? Be happy.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Never in my life have I had everything materially around me that I've wanted that's going to generate the happiness. It's got to come from within you, and you got to be grateful for what you have. And so that's something I've really worked and focused on. From an emotional standpoint, I like to do races. So I've tried to focus on, hey, this year, I'm going to do, these are my 3 A races. I'm going to set goals for, train for them. And same with work. I want these things to happen this year. And I'm going to, here's how I'm going to go at it. But I just like to have those things on paper. And then I look at them on a regular basis and say, how am I doing? And, and then I'm compassionate with myself. Like, hey, you had this idea. You were going to, you can join the NFL this year. Guess what? Never going to happen. So as a silly example, but sometimes you got to be soft on yourself. Like, hey, but, while I haven't executed 100% on my goal, I've gotten stronger. I've gotten more compassionate. I've made my
intangibles.
Yeah.
Not only tangibles. I think Tony Robbins says that people, one of the biggest not weaknesses, but problems that we think that we're not enough, and I think right now I'm asking people from my network about their new year goals setting routine, how do they set goals or how they conclude the year, because I think and what I discovered is that some people, they compare what they accomplish with what they set. So if they accomplish the goal, but this approach in itself is a little negative to me, because when you set goals, they could be a bit arbitrary, especially when it's financial goal. You don't know, right? Unless you're making a fixed salary, you don't know how much money you're gonna make. If we're both entrepreneurs. So setting an arbitrary goal and not hitting it, and then in the end of a year you sit there and you lament about the fact that you didn't hit your goal, is kind of is not the right approach. How about just list all the good things that you made, what you accomplished, count the overall amount of money that you made. It's gonna put a smile on your face. So what do you think? How are you concluding the year in terms similar to these? What are some maybe techniques that you use just to bring a smile on your face and make yourself feel happier a little bit?
Well, I like to recognize wins.
Recognize wins. Okay.
Let's say I set a goal for myself and I don't hit it. But I made progress.
You made,
and so
yes.
I celebrate the fact that I made progress. So let's say I want my business, independent of what the business is, I want to make $1 million this year.
Okay.
And I didn't.
You did.
I made 650,000, okay. And I'm just making these numbers up. But I made 650. What did I learn? What can I apply next year to do better? So I always think about learning lessons, and I think about this a lot of times.
Do you write things down when you? Writing is a big part, right, of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to recognize success in the pursuit of whatever you're going after, and I try and focus on that. Like, because in that delta between what you set as a goal and what you achieved is learning. And you can get, and what do I need to do to get better? Or was it even a realistic goal? But I think that's an important aspect of thinking about achievement in general. It's absolutely natural to feel disappointment or frustration. But there's definitely good learning lessons to walk away where you can do better based on that experience.
I remember our mutual friend Joel Cheeseman said once that he tries to remove things from his life. He wants to make his life simpler rather than when I propose something, he said that, we have to think about it from this perspective. Like, will it put a lot more of work? What is your how in the because Sylvester Stallone, I think he said that until the age of 40, the life is like a surplus. It's like adding things to your life, and post 40, it's losing things. So it's kind of philosophical and even painful acknowledgement. But do you remove things from your life intentionally? Is simpler better for you?
Well, so what I'm hearing is that from 0 to 40 is a time of exploration and experimentation.
Oh, this is how we can interpret it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then using that analogy, at 40, there's an acknowledgement of what I like, what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. Self-awareness. You become self-aware, and then from that self-awareness, you can then focus on the things that truly bring you whatever you value. And so the reduction is happening for me because I'm aware, hey, I don't like that.
Yeah, you don't have time to mess around anymore, right?
It's just like, well, just the value of that. You start to, I don't know, look for an ROI of your time and your focus. And so for me, maybe a while ago, I would take a painting class where maybe today I'm like, I'm not a good painter. I'm okay with that. I don't need to go paint anymore.
Yeah.
So if somebody said, hey, let's do this, I'd be like, Well,
the learning curve is too big.
Well, it's just the output is not going to bring me any value. And I've tried it in the past or something like that. So I understand that it's for me, it's not doing less. It's doing things that I've already that I've already found to be really value-based activities for me, so, that's what I heard.
Yeah. But this is what you just said is promising from this perspective. Like, a lot of people right now, they want to be successful. I don't know, 25, 30. the social media, it feeds the dissatisfaction and frustration that I'm not a millionaire yet. Dude, you're like 30, you're a baby, you know? This is what I learned from Gary Vee. He constantly says that you're all babies because he started his agency, the biggest, literally largest agency in the world. It's like 45 or something, you know? So what you're saying is that at 40, you have a deep understanding of what you love, what you're good at, right? And you can finally start looking for the activities with the highest possible ROI. So I think there was some stat that the most successful entrepreneurs are actually not the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and others. That are actually in their 40s and going into the 50s even. So it's really, really exciting to understand that I'm 35, that my best years are coming up and I'm not losing on anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a wide spectrum of how people reach that point of, I don't know, enlightenment or whatever it is.
Enlightenment.
You know, and maybe some people are born with it. I definitely see people out there that are outliers in their capabilities. Like, you know, there's people who are amazing athletes or amazing business people or amazing musicians. And that's great, but that's the minority of people. I think the majority of people are like, I'm lost and I'm floating.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to try a bunch of stuff. And that can be personally, it can be professionally. So then you really need to go back. And I think as we get older, we get more experience under our belt so we can do this faster and start thinking about, am I going to enjoy this?
Yeah.
Is it something I want to add to my activity level? And if you know, I mean, the thing for me is that I also try and keep an open mind to continually to try new things and not get routine based and stuck in patterns.
Yeah, as you said earlier, you actually are a novelty seeker. But from what you're saying, it seems like the understanding that you're becoming better and you're enjoying it, the new thing should come almost immediately. Otherwise, why waste your time, right?
Yeah, I definitely can appreciate Joel saying I'm trying to do less because he knows what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate Sylvester Stallone saying, "Hey, after 40, I've identified what I like, what I don't like. So I'm doing less, but I'm doing more of what I enjoy."
Cool.
And that, I don't know, that's my personal opinion. Other people could probably have very wide points of view, which is awesome, and I like that. But you know, that's what I'm hearing.
So it's a very satisfying note, you know, to wrap up this conversation, to understand that it's never too late. You should try things out. Maybe you can leave us with the last message as we're getting into 2025. From personal perspective, the floor is yours.
Yeah, for me, what I continually challenge myself is to experiment often, fail fast, and learn from those experiences. Goal setting, business, personal. The difference today is the experimentation is much more focused on areas that I really enjoy. And so that's what I continually try and think about is like, you know, what am I going to go do? What do I want to learn? What do I want to try at work? What do I want to try, you know, for races, you know, silly things, but it's like a little bit of a guiding rod for me and it helps. And, you know, cause at the end of the day, I don't mind challenge. I don't mind discomfort. I don't mind being in tough spots, but I want to be happy while I'm there, and at least have a mission and a goal and a vision of what I'm trying to reach. So it's not always perfect, but that's kind of where my head's always trying to be at.
Great conversation. That was Bill Fanning, everybody. And where can people find more information, stuff like that? Some of the sources that people can find you or check out your stuff.
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find there. And then if you go to talktalent.com, all one word, you can learn more about our community. If you're a TA professional, good news, it's free. I think it has value. And, you know, if you know, to go back to doing less, it's a central repository to get better at your career in talent acquisition. So if that's an area you're working, it's pretty cool. Come check it out.
Cool. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
You're looking for a quality video production provider? Look no further. My name is Sergey and I own Beverly Production. We are a video production agency from Ukraine. You know, we help entrepreneurs to create credible online, offline podcasts and clips that drive interest, to promote your podcast. As a podcaster myself, I early realized that there are not that many podcasts that put an emphasis on quality and creativity, just making your videos look really, really cool. That's why we mix our videos up with different visual aids, sound effects, flashy transitions. We do dynamic switching and other cool creative things that just set apart your podcast from your competition. You can check our samples on the website, and we also help people to post the videos. So we take over YouTube management, and we can also run TikTok and LinkedIn for you. So if you're interested in something of this kind, don't hesitate to book a call with me. The contacts are available on the website. Thanks a lot.